Hello, and welcome to the KB Michelle Green podcast. Yes, KB stands for Kingdom Builders. We are building the kingdom of God through Credit Repair, Business University, and Community Development Center. Okay, we are building the kingdom. And here is our podcast for today. Today, I would like to talk to you about your boundaries. How many of us, as we are establishing who we actually are and our true identity, the one where you start to set some boundaries and people don't actually like the boundaries. People don't like the boundaries because for so many years, for so long, you have actually just been a person who pleases other people. You've been the person that as you were growing up, you were pleasing your parents. You were trying to impress your guardian. You were trying to impress whomever it was that was your caretaker. Or maybe it was your teacher, or maybe it was an auntie or uncle. You were always there trying to show them your achievements or your accomplishments, especially as it pertained to something that they wanted you to do, something that they asked of you to do, something that they maybe were angry about you not doing or not being able to do, and it turned into this people-pleasing mindset of, I gotta get this done because I want them to be happy with me. And it starts so early in our childhood, all the way through teenagehood. We tend to get a little bit rebellious as we go into our teenagehood. And we decide that, hey, I got a mind of my own and I can make some decisions for myself that may not be exactly acceptable to those who I was previously pleasing. Sometimes that goes to the other end of the stick where we totally try to please those same people. Then we go into our adulthood, 20s, and we are dreaming of having this lifestyle that we were creating in our teens and believing that we don't have to have boundaries. We don't have to have rules and regulations. We don't have to abide by policies and procedures. We can create our own world. Why is that so rampant throughout our teens and 20s? Because we are people who are creators. That's the way our Creator created us. To rule, to be able to set boundaries, to be able to establish what type of life we want to live. But then it seems like we lose that perspective of creativity going into our 30s because we begin to realize like some of the things that we learned as a child growing up in our teenagehood, the things that our parents or guardians were saying, we tend to realize that maybe life is not as creative as I think it can be. And reality of our circumstances or surroundings tend to kind of like hit us upside the head, and we kind of succumb to, oh, well, maybe I will go back and think about some of the things that other people have told me throughout my lifetime, or even the people that may currently be in my life and advising me of what I should and should not do, because they've had a little bit of experience, so they should know the right way to go, right? But we go into maybe our 40s and then we kind of bounce back into that 20 mindset to where, you know what, this is what I really want to do. I've been around this world a few times, per year, and I see there are systems in place that can get me to where I want to be, but the creativity is not as strong, it's not as powerful, it's not as consistent in our life like it was in our 20s and in our teens. And we begin to maybe, we think about that creativity, but it's not necessarily something that we stick with. So our identities fall into a trap of, okay, well, what was right for mom and them? What was right for dad? What was right for my grandparents, my aunties, my uncles, my cousins, my friends, my sisters, my brothers? What was right for my family? What was right for the people that I work with? What was right for them? Maybe that will be right for me. And we kind of fall back into, okay, well, I'll just go along with what they did. And we get back into this mindset of, I want to do for myself, but there's still such a huge weight on our shoulders of actually pleasing other people and not really knowing what it is that we truly want for ourselves. And I'm speaking on this because I'm experiencing and have experienced in the past, especially times when I started setting boundaries, times when God showed me my true identity and He showed me that, hey, you need to cut this out. You need to stop doing this and you need to start doing that. If you're going to really accept who you are, you have to know that there are going to be people who are just not going to like what you do. There are going to be people who are not going to approve or appreciate, or, they are just not going to go along with your new boundaries for yourself. I was actually practicing my identity, being confident in who I am and just living the life that God has taught me to live. What I've learned is that instead of looking outwardly into the world to figure out exactly how to set my boundaries for my own identity, I can't really find my own identity in the world. I have to go internal and seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. I have to go internally to seek the one that actually manufactured all of my gifts, skills, and talents and everything that I am. Not what I have to become, but what I already am. And in realizing who I am, realizing that no, I'm not somebody that gets to be walked all over. No, I'm not somebody that if you don't want me to come into your group of people, your clique, your gang, then it's okay. If I'm not accepted, I'm just not accepted there, and that's not the place for me. And it's okay, It's okay if you don't like what I do or if you don't like what it is that I say. That's okay, because I still have a responsibility and obligation to be myself. And so this past week has been that journey of realizing that boundaries are necessary. Are you setting boundaries for yourself as you develop your identity, as you develop in your identity by internally going in and seeking and asking the Creator, like, what did you create me to be? What did you create me to do? Where do I start? Where do I begin? What kind of boundaries do I set for myself? As you are going through that process, like myself, I ran across quite a few people who wanted to overstep those boundaries. And one of the things that happened is throughout my journey, sometimes people may not take my word for face value. In other words, they would kind of question and go back and try to do some research on what I say. And that's absolutely fine. I'm here to say to you guys that that's not your problem. That's the other person's problem. That is an insecurity. That is a thing that is deeply embedded into them that says that they don't trust people. And if they don't trust people, then guess what? It's okay if they don't trust you. That has nothing to do with you setting your boundary. So this happened to me quite a few times this past week, where I spoke a word, I gave my word to someone, and they didn't believe me. But I stood on my boundary and I said to the person, I've already given you my word. I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm not going to add anything to the conversation of what I have already stated is. If there is something that needs to be worked out in your life where you need more evidence, then that's something that you'll have to work through. And it wasn't to be rude or nasty or unkind. It's just that when you come into your true identity of yourself, when you begin to establish these anchors in your life to where, okay, I am set here because this is who I really am. And these are the things that I like, and these are the things that I don't like. And these are the people that I want to spend time with, and these are not the people that I want to spend time with. This is the type of work that I want to do, and this is not the type of work that I want to do. And I'm going to change that. You know, when you start to set boundaries for yourself because you realize who you actually are, you can't waver in that boundary. It's always going to be a situation where someone tries to shift you back into the person who you used to be, the person who allowed the boundaries to be overstepped, someone that's going to want to skip the process of your identity staying solid within yourself. Is always someone that's going to want to push buttons and always going to want to, change how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself. But I'm here to say to you that in this self-help podcast, you got to stick to your guns. You have to stand firm on who it is that you are, and regardless of whoever they are, no matter how many friends that you previously had, no matter how many family members were supporting you before, but now they aren't, no matter how many zeros were behind their name and they choose to leave your life because of a boundary that you set. Listen, let them go. Let them go so that you can be exactly who you are. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you, it is worth it to be who you are. Don't change for anyone unless God is telling you that that's not who you really are. So stick to your guns and set those boundaries. Be the person that you were originally created to be. Thank you for listening. Have a blessed